live your day to day is how you will live your life. So are you going to live a day where you gave it your all and you did the things that you said you were going to do for yourself and for your family? Or are you going to live a bunch of days of procrastination and you wake up 5 years from now and you miss the boat of what is this incredible opportunity, this incredible business opportunity?
I'm like, what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's the doubt for? Live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given as a gift. If I'm a living, I'm a live it to death. So what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's the doubt for? And live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given as a gift. If I'm a living, I'm a live it to death.
Welcome to the Living Hope live agency call, episode 2 of our Road to Hall of Fame training series. And I just couldn't be more excited to have our special guest on here today. Really cool background, and it's awesome. Just another one of those stories where you say, if they can come from that background and they can achieve a level like Hall of Fame, why not me? So I'm excited to have this special guest on, one of my favorite people in the business, Miss Cassandra. Did you make it on the call?
I did. I'm here. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. And you're in Houston right now, correct?
That is correct. I'm in Houston, Texas.
Okay. So just real quick, just to get it out of the way, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, how you found Family First Life, and just kind of what that journey's been like for you so far.
So I come from a personal training and a bartending background. I also was in marketing, and like many of us, didn't use my degree. And then I found Family First Life when one of my colleagues at a high-end gym in Dallas I was working at, he said, hey, he's quitting, and he was one of the best trainers there and he's making the most money. So I said, why are you quitting? I want to know what you're doing, because I was pushing 30 and I just hadn't really figured it out yet financially. And I actually built my whole business during COVID. I got my exam all squared away and my license literally right before COVID hit. And then COVID hit and I was stuck in my apartment for like a month. All I did was go over Family First Life material, just digesting it like nobody's business. And then I just went out there, and my gym shut down and I had to make it work. I had to pay my rent.
Okay. That's incredible. So obviously you found this at, the height of COVID, and you had to transition out of something you were super comfortable with, which was personal training. And, have you ever done anything like this before?
No, I've never done anything like this before.
Okay. So a little bit out of your comfort zone, probably to, call a stack of people that you've never met before and say, hey, I'm coming over to your house to talk to you about the life insurance. But it's not as crazy as people might think it is in their mind. It's actually, when you go and sit down with these people, they're not scary. A lot of them are actually super, loving and caring and just want to take care of their families. And I think that's a big shift that a lot of people have to have. So for you, I know the topic of today is really, the road to Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame, for anybody who's on here who doesn't know what that is, that sounds like some ambiguous term. It means that Cassandra helped over 400 families last year on her own pen. And she's got a pretty successful agency herself where she's helped others, be on the track to do the same thing. But, we were talking right before this call. We talked about how Hall of Fame, it's just a decision. It's not some, crazy mystical thing. I think really our goal here on this call is to kind of demystify what Hall of Fame actually is and just show people it's really a consistency thing more than it is like having some crazy skill set. So for you, if you were talking to somebody about, what does it really take from like a mindset and an activity perspective to be able to write that much business in a year, what advice would you give someone just to get started?
Well, my advice is that there are no secrets, right? Like, we give you our secrets. Family First Life literally hands you the secrets on a platter and says, here they are. But are you going to be consistent about it? Are you going to have a big week and then like not write any business? Which I did, by the way. I did that. Like, I think all of us have done that, where we had a good weekend and then we're like, let me get out of town. I got out of town and I got 3 chargebacks back to back to back. But the point is that you just got to make a decision. Like, even when I don't feel like it today, even when like whatever is going on in the world, like I just don't care. I just don't care about anything else but booking 30 appointments every single week and understanding that this is my life and I have to digest everything that I can with regards to podcasts, talking to people that aren't necessarily in my line, like my upline or my downline. I want to be reaching out to people like Jamie, Gage Peart, like all of my colleagues that weren't on my team necessarily, but I reached out to them for help, because that's how you get better, is you talk to people. You cannot do this business by yourself. And if you think you're special, you're not.
That's good. I think the biggest thing that I kind of pulled from that is that it's not going to be easy, and there's going to be days where you don't feel like doing it. So, I mean, I've been on the emotional roller coaster before, where I've had huge weeks of sales, huge days of sales, and I've also, had the days where I booked the most activity I've ever booked, and then got my butt kicked and just kicked in the stomach. And then after coming off of, what you thought was your best dial day ever, and then your worst activity day ever, it's pretty hard to go into that next dial day with a kind of an even keel. So, I guess, how do you pull yourself out of that? How do you stay level? I think that's one of the most important things to, not get too emotional on the roller coaster, but just learn how to stay level in this business.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm Latina and we are emotional. We have a lot of fire inside of us. So for me, if I had a bad day, I just say, okay, it's a bad day. I learn from it. And if you have a bad day in the field, you should be going home with a lot of lessons. You shouldn't be going home mad. You should be going home, talk to your upline 5 different times of why didn't you close 5 different people? Why didn't you help 5 different people? Because at the end of the day, it is our fault. Always. It's always my fault. If I don't do something, if I don't help the family, if I didn't book solid appointments, that was all my fault. So when I go home, I'm going home with a lot of lessons. I'm not going home mad. And then when I get home, I eat something nutritious. Like, guys, like, you got to eat healthy and you got to take care of yourself, because all the lows are going to be even lower if you are physically not taking care of yourself. And just like drink a lot of water, get a good night's sleep, and then get up in the morning and just say, okay, today is new. What am I grateful for? Write some stuff down that you're grateful for, do some stretching, and then get ready to dial at 8. And you told yourself you were going to start dialing at 8. So you should probably keep that promise to yourself, or you're going to feel real crappy. If you
Yeah,
said you're going to work out, do it.
I totally agree with you, because I mean, Peter Unger said something to me and a couple of our managers when we were at convention. We had a little meetup. He said, guys, what's the point of getting to integrity if you're half dead when you get there? He
Yeah.
mentioned, if anybody's ever seen the meme of like Obama before he got into office versus after he got out of office, he has like gray hair and he looks like he's like aged like 30 years and 8 years. And it's like, that's kind of like what can happen to top producers here at Family First Life, is they don't take care of themselves. And I know that there was a good portion of my first year where I didn't really take care of myself, and I started to feel it. And at least coming out of convention, especially, so many of us were impacted by Dave Anderson so much. Just our team right now, we have our hashtag lose the snooze amongst a lot of our rising stars. So every single morning, we're posting, if we beat the snooze or not. And then a lot of us are getting to it, and we're working out in the morning. We're doing a lot of our daily disciplines, and a lot of us are working really hard at making sure that we're, not eating out in the field, because just it's so much energy it takes to actually go out there and get to Hall of Fame, that obviously, everything that we do in this regard, it matters. And one of the things that I love about what you do, I look at your Instagram story, and she, Cassandra, she hashtags fast food, and it's, the little snacks that she packs for herself.
Because I'm driving fast and eating.
That's it. So I guess just a few more minutes maybe on, why is it so important just to like not let every other area of your life slip just for the high levels of production?
Well, when I first started this business, I actually was not healthy in the opposite way. I wasn't eating enough. So I would like go out into the field all day and I wouldn't eat anything. And then I got on the phone and my energy was so low. I wasn't working out as much. Like, it happened to me too. I just didn't gain any weight. I lost weight, lost a lot of muscle. And I just when I let that part of my life slip, and then I notice when I'm not writing down what I'm grateful for and doing all these practices, that I was less able to help families in an efficient way. And it's like when you do one good thing, you're like, "Oh, I did that." And then you do another good thing that day and you're like, "Oh, I did that too, what I was supposed to do. And I did my dials and I did this and then tomorrow I'm going to go wake up and I'm going to do what I said and wake up early and not hit the snooze and work out." And then you go into that appointment with so much confidence and so much ease inside of you because you don't have that anxiety of you didn't do the things that you know deep down that you were supposed to do. And it's very attainable. I know that, you guys are all different points in the business, but the best thing that you can do is just literally time block. Okay, from 6 to 8, from 6 to 7, I'm working out. That's my time block in your Google Calendar. From 7:30 to 8, I'm making a snack before I dial. From 8 to 10, I'm dialing solid. I'm not taking a break. And then from that, I can take a break and do like 30 minutes or whatever. But if you don't structure your day, because your day is the most important thing. What's that quote, Jamie? How we live our days is how we live our lives.
I don't know, but that's really good.
Yeah, I definitely didn't come up with that. I'm definitely not that articulate, but somebody said that, and it's very true. How you live your day, day to day, is how you will live your life. So are you gonna live a day where you gave it your all and you did the things that you said you were gonna do for yourself and for your family, or are you gonna live a bunch of days of procrastination and you wake up 5 years from now and you miss the boat of what is this incredible opportunity, this incredible business opportunity? So ask yourselves that today. Are you going to actually contact someone in this business that's doing better than you are and ask how they structure their time? Have that one-on-one conversation with them. Are you going to wake up 5 years from now and just wish that you would have tried harder at this?
No, that's so real. I mean, time blocking is everything. I mean, in order to have like a really good 5 years, guys, you don't just like, if you zoom out that far, it's overwhelming. But it's like, if you zoom back into like today, it's like, how do I have a really good 5 years? I just have a really good day today. And then I just do that 7 days in a row. And then I just do that 4 weeks in a row, 12 months in a row, 5 years in a row. And it's just, I got to focus on the next logical thing every single day.
Oh, and with that, just focusing in on more strategical stuff for you guys and zooming out of mindset stuff. So for me, if any of you all know, the last 3 months, I actually didn't do that good at structuring at the beginning of the year. So learn from my mistake. There was a couple of months where I fell short in the year. And the last 3 months of the business, I was hustling. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to hit Hall of Fame. I think I was at like 370 in October. So I had October, November, and December.
Like 270 families in October, because like that would have been
270 families in October. So I had the rest to go.
130 families in 3 months.
Exactly. Yeah. And then what I did though is I sat down on the floor. I have this big Post-it, and you can get it at Home Depot. And what I did is I wrote down every single month. I wrote down October, November, and December. And I wrote down the days, and I wrote down R for run, D for dial. Today I'm taking off, and I literally mapped out 3 months of run days and dial days. Obviously, along the way, it kind of changed a little bit, but I knew what I needed to do, and I knew how much I needed to submit every week, and I knew how much I needed to issue pay every week, because we all know that not everything that you submit is going to go through. So you need to submit a little bit more than what you think you need to issue pay. And that what I needed to issue pay every week, because let's be honest, if you do not have it written down on a piece of paper or mapped out on Excel or whatever you got to do to get it out of your brain, it is not happening. Not even a little bit.
I mean, out of sight, out of mind. I mean, if you don't have it in front of you, it's just, there's no way it's going to actually happen. I couldn't be in bigger agreement with you.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. I love that's practical because we mentioned this earlier in the call, and when we were talking earlier, Hall of Fame's not as much a skill set goal as it has a consistency goal. So she set herself up for the last 3 months of the year to say, hey, I'm just gonna work and I'm gonna be in the field 4 days a week, 4 weeks in a row for 3 months. And if I just do that, I'll hit my numbers. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. And you mentioned you struggled with this in the beginning. You have a really, really good week. Naturally, when you help a bunch of families and you make more money than you made in your job in a month, in a week, what do? You take time off. And that's just something that, naturally all of us do, but it's the person who can be disciplined enough to say, hey, I had a really good week or I had a really bad week. Who cares? Back to work. I'm just going to do what I said I was going to do, regardless of the results, and keep moving forward. And I think it's just important to note that Hall of Fame producers, they don't really do anything that special. The difference is they don't really take massive amounts of time off. So if you see a Hall of Fame producer take time off, they might take like a 3 or a 4 day weekend, but on the front and the back of that, they're doubling up their production. So if I'm dialing on Mondays and Thursdays to go out and run Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, but I've been working for 3 months and I set a goal for relief that I'm going to go spend time with my family. I'm going to go from, let's say, Wednesday to Sunday, and that's a really long weekend. Let's say I do it, but then leading up to it, I'm going to make sure that I run extra days. I'm going to make sure that I double up on my dials, double up on my appointments on the front and the back, so I don't lose out on production. And I'm sure that you had times when you had things that you couldn't, that you wanted to do with your family or your friends, but you made sure you didn't miss out still.
Yeah, totally. But there are times when I did miss out.
Yeah.
Because when you have a business, you have to sacrifice stuff. And that's totally fine. And everybody that wants to do that at a very high level needs to realize that.
So did you have to have like conversations with your friends and family? Because obviously previously to this business, being a bartender and being in fitness, that's those are two very like social things that you do. And you have a lot of personal relationships with people, I'm sure. They're like, hey, let's go out to eat after work. Hey, let's do this. Let's grab a drink. And then you have family as well that I know you're close with your family, but like how were those conversations and what did you have to say to those people about here's what my life's going to look like as I'm on track for this goal?
Well, actually, I left all my friends in Dallas and I moved to Houston by myself. So I don't really have any distractions here. And my family lives all over the country. So I'm by myself here in Houston. But I do want to touch on the normalcy that your family or friends associate with work and a work-life balance normalcy, and they will criticize this business. But what I said to my mom, my mom, she's from Panama, and she's so sweet and she's so lovable and she worries. And she says, you're just working so much and I just don't understand. And I said, well, that's because no one in our family or our friend group has ever tried to do anything this big. Like, you want to build a big business, you're going to have to do things that your family or friends possibly have never done before. And if they've done it, they probably aren't complaining to you about it because they know what it takes.
Oh, that's real. I mean, that's one of the realest things I've heard in a while. I mean, if you're on track to go ahead and do something that your friends and family have never done, I mean, they're not really the ones that should be giving you advice on what you're doing on a daily basis. I mean, there's this basic concept of, it's called who do you listen to? There's a couple, basic, principles. You listen to people who, number one, have what you want. You listen to people who started where you started, and you listen to people who are the type of person that you want to become. Like, I would listen to, my parents maybe on, how to be parents. But
Right.
My dad's driven a truck for the last 30 years. My mom has been, a financial advisor and worked in the school system. Neither of them have built big businesses before. So I'm going to take their advice in areas that they're experts in, but I'm going to listen to people like Grady Polson, Andrew Taylor, and other, top Hall of Fame producers, et cetera, on how to get the life that I desire. And exactly what to do. So you just have to kind of be careful on who it is that you take advice from. And also, I mean, you could probably comment on this as well. Who do you listen to in this business? You talked about reaching out to people cross line, but there's some people in this business that you shouldn't be taking advice from either. There's some people in this business that, they'll tell you one thing, but their mouth and their feet are doing two totally different things. You want to make sure you're getting advice from people who are actually working, right?
I want to make sure that if I'm new, I'm getting advice from someone. If they're, I would take what they say with a little tiny grain of salt. So you got to listen to people that are where you are, and don't fall into the trap of negativity. If I ever come across someone in this business and I just don't jive well with them, just don't talk to them anymore. That's the beauty of this business. You don't have to talk to people that aren't good for you or your business.
Okay, so let's transition here. So we've obviously talked a lot about the mindset. Let's dig into some practical things. So let's talk about dialing like a Hall of Fame producer. So, I mean, dialing is probably one of the biggest hurdles that most new producers have to overcome, whether it's just sitting down in the chair and actually having the discipline of doing it. Maybe speak to, how does a Hall of Fame producer structure their dial day? What do you prepare the night before? What does that look like for you, especially when you're time blocking things, and just how do you stay, disciplined? And then maybe we can get into some of your actual word tracks and tips for how to book more appointments.
Sure. So the days that I am dialing, I like to get up and work out, because if I get up and I finish a workout or a yoga class, then I'm like, okay, I did something for myself today. I can give myself to this. I can give myself to dialing and being on the phone with agents and everything else. Because once you start the day dialing, and especially when you start to build an agency, you're like getting calls and you're helping people and you're doing stuff. So time blocking from certainly 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. hard dialing is going to be super key for you guys. And then after you do that, then maybe saying, okay, I'm going to give myself a 20-minute break, and put that break in your calendar. Or if you want to look at social media, okay, I'm going to give myself a 20-minute increment of time during this time of day every day that I will take a look at social media. Unless I'm posting something, I post it and I leave it alone. So making sure that you don't get sucked into social media is a big deal when you're dialing, because it's really easy to get sucked in and then all of a sudden you're on there for 30 minutes and you didn't dial. Also making sure you're in a space that allows you to dial. If you have a family and you're dialing at home, you say, hey, from this time to this time, I'm literally not here. Do not talk to me. I can't talk to you unless you want me to not make money at this and fail. If you want me to spend $1,000 and lose it, I will. But if not, I need to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about some of your scripts. So let's just dig right into it. So you're dialing any lead, you can choose what type. Let's just do a quick back and forth, at least on your intro. We don't have to go through the whole, tie it down, but I'd love to just hear your script, and we can just give me a call right now.
Ring.
Hello.
Hi, Jamie.
Yes.
Hey, Jamie, this is Cass. I'm giving you a call with regards to the request you sent in for information on the state regulated life insurance programs. It was the one where you put down your date of birth at 10/10/1990. Is that you?
Yeah, that's me. But what is this again?
This is regarding the information you requested on the state regulated life insurance programs out here in Harris County. I just need to confirm your info so I can get this out to you. I have your address here at 123 Success Lane. Is that current or outdated?
That's current.
Got it. And is that apartment or a house?
It's a house.
Okay, got it. So Jamie, all these programs are non-medical, means there's no physical exam, no blood work, nothing like that. State of Texas has really simplified this for you. They just dispatch a licensed field underwriter, that's myself, to A, verify your identification, make sure no one's requesting this in your name, and then B, make sure that you're quite frankly not strapped down to a hospital bed. That's not you, right?
No, that's not me.
Got it. Now, Jamie, are you currently married, single, divorced, or widowed?
Married.
Okay, and are you and your spouse currently working, retired, or disabled?
I work. My wife stays home.
Understood. And do you work a typical 9 to 5, Monday through Friday? What's that look like for you?
No, I work night shift. So I go in at like 8 and I get back at like 5.
Understood. So they have me dispatched to your area tomorrow. I have some availability to get you and your spouse this information you requested. I have a 5:30 or 6. Which one works best?
Probably the 5:30.
Probably or should, because sir, I'm seeing 8 families tomorrow, and I'm sure if you don't want that spot, one of my other clients does. So 5:30 or 6.
Let's do the 6.
Okay, go ahead and grab a pen and a piece of paper. I need you to write down my state license number and my name.
Okay, got it.
My state license number is blah, 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 blah. And my name is Cassandra, but you can put Cass for short. C as in cat, A as in astronaut, S as in Sally, S as in Sally. And my last name is Carter, but it's spelled a little funny. C as in cat, A as in astronaut, R as in Robert, D as in dog, E as in elephant, R as in Robert.
Okay.
Now,
Cass Carder, state license number, blah, blah, blah.
yeah, that's correct. Now, the 1, 2, 3 here, can I find those numbers on the side of your home, the mailbox, the curb?
It's on the mailbox.
Got it. I'm going to be driving a gray SUV and I'm very short with dark hair, so you know it's me when I get there.
Okay.
Okay. You have a great day.
It's funny because when you did ring ring in the beginning, you had a huge smile on your face, but then as soon as I said hello, it's like you just went like straight monotone.
You have to.
Yeah. And I think that's important. I had somebody I was meeting with the other week that they were like, yeah. So I was listening to all your training calls and I heard you doing your phone script and you were being monotone. And I thought that like you were just kind of like walking people through the script with like no emotion. I'm like, no, that's the actual script. Like, you actually have to be monotone. You actually have to be uninterested. And I loved when you're like 5:30 or 6. Well, 5:30, I should be there or you will be there. I think it's important to be busy. So like, can you just give it maybe just a quick tip on just like why it's important to make yourself busier than the client?
Well, because everybody wants what they can't have. And if you're not busy and the client senses that you're desperate, they don't want to meet with you. And you know how to be busy is actually start dialing at 8 a.m. and make yourself busy. Like, obviously, the first book is the hardest, but you know how you get better at this is you pick up the phone and you call people and you unmute during dial team. That's how you get better at this. You make yourself do it, even if you don't want to do it, even if you're not good at it. Because I wasn't good at it either, and neither was Jamie or anybody else that's a super top producer.
Yeah, I mean, you make yourself do it. I mean, just like with, like working out super uncomfortable for the first, 3-4 weeks, and then it gets easier and easier and easier. And then it becomes, a daily habit that's harder to not do than to do. And same thing with dialing. It's like, it hurts me inside when I have to miss a dial day for whatever reason, or if I have to start
Me
late,
too.
have, a doctor's appointment or something going on for my kid. And it's like, you have to do it so much that it becomes a part of you. And it becomes like people say, so many people say, I hate dial day, but it's like, you have to almost like lie to yourself. And like, I love dial day.
You know what I do is
yeah.
I like doodle on my paper all day long when I'm dialing. And I have like, I love dialing all over my paper. I love dialing. So good. Love this.
That's awesome. When I was in high school and I was on the wrestling team, my coach, when we would do push-ups, instead of counting, we would say loving it every single time we went down, just because we hated our life, but it was just, we didn't count. It was loving it, loving it, loving it, loving it.
Sometimes when I'm having a bad day in the field and I get to a house, I just smile. And it's so stupid because I'm like, I'm an idiot. I'm smiling. I don't feel like smiling. I'm an idiot. But then the client answers the door and I'm smiling. And then I actually smile because I'm laughing at myself because it feels so ridiculous.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, well, let's transition a little bit into in-home, and then we're going to take some questions here at the end.
Sure.
So you come up, knock on the door, take me to the kitchen table and walk me through the open.
Okay. So I knock on the door. hey, I'm here for our appointment. Would you like me to take my shoes on or off? And I'm leaning in even before they say anything. I'm always like leaning in. I'm like, want me to take my shoes on, off? And I'm super assuming I'm getting in their house. So
So if you're that
then,
assumptive, I'm assuming you probably don't get porched very often if you're already halfway in their house.
yeah, I'm like, hey, I'm here. Let me in. And then I say, okay, let's sit at the table. Got to do a little bit of writing. And I sit down at the table and I take out the lead card and I put it in front of them and I say, okay, tell me a little bit about what you're looking for so I know how best to guide you. Hey, Jamie, tell me what you're looking for.
I just want to make sure that if something happens to me that, my wife, she's stay-at-home mom. So I just want to make sure that her and my son are taken care of.
Okay, understood. So I'm going to explain the whole entire process to you from start to finish, and you can tell me if you want to proceed. So we're going to go over a couple minutes of finance questions, couple minutes health questions, not because I'm nosy, just because I want to know the best place that you can qualify for coverage. And I show them the sheet with all of our options on there. And then after we do these questions, we're going to run a quick MIB report that will let me know which programs you can qualify for. I can explain all the programs that you qualify for. From there, you can pick one that best suits your needs and your budget. Doesn't matter to me which one we go with. We're going to submit the request for coverage. If they like you with your age and your health and all that, that's great. If they don't, that's okay, because I work with a bunch of other companies. If they do approve your request for coverage, they will take the first payment in 2 to 4 business days, and that's a good thing. That means they decided to give you the coverage that you are requesting. From there, they're going to send you the policy in about 7 to 10 business days, and that will allow you a whole month free look period to look it over and call me up and say, hey, Cass, everything looks great, or we want a little bit more coverage or a little bit less coverage. You have a full month to make any necessary changes to the policy that you wish to do so. Does all that make sense?
Yes.
Would you like to move forward?
Yes. So let's break that down, because you just like overcame every single objection in the book with your open. And I think that's huge. So we can kind of dig into one by one what you just did there. But guys, it's like a strong open prevents objections at the end of the appointment. And every top producer, like, even if you have the strongest open, there's still times that myself and Cass and all other top producers, we still get think about it at the end. But more often than not, you don't get the objections that most producers are getting when you have a really, really strong open. So she hit a couple right there. She hit shop around, she hit think about it, and she hit that it's going to take money out of your account, and it's like, why do you need my banking info? Like I told you, it's a good thing if it gets approved. So we want to just break that down for us. Just kind of just kind of go back through your open really quick and just hit those couple of things of what's going to happen next.
Sure. So I sit down and I'm very stern in my appointments. I'm not messing around. Like I'm a fairly sweet person, but like when I'm doing my phone script, when I'm doing my in-home, the sweetness is gone. I'm direct and I'm polite. And from there,
The sweetness can come back once you're filling out the application.
no, the sweetness comes back when I got the bank account information.
You go. Absolutely. There it is.
So after that, then I'm like, okay, we can be cool now.
Okay, so let's go through it.
Yeah, sure. So I asked the why. The why is very important. And, you gave me a good why, but I would tackle the why even more in the financial inventory when I find out exactly what the income is, the discrepancy, like how much coverage they might really need, what's going on in their life. That's where the sale is made too. So the sale is also made at the beginning, but you got to know what you're up against fully to have some legs to stand on.
Let's come back to the financial inventory. So keep going through your open, and then I think we can get to that.
Sure. So ask the why. Then after that, I tell them, here are all the carriers I work with. We're going to go over a couple finance questions, couple health questions, not because I'm nosy, and I let them know like, hey, I'm just like some low guy on the totem pole, just trying to ask you some questions. Everything is no big deal. Like, I'm just I'm just an order taker, like Zach Twardowski says. So then after that, we're going to do an MIB report. That's a medical information bureau report. I have one, you have one. And that's what allows all these programs to be non-medical, no blood work. I'm the eyes and the ears for the company. So just let them know it's just all a part of the process. Everything is no big deal. And then after that, I'm going to explain the options to you. You're going to pick one. I'm telling them that they're going to pick one. I'm walking them down a very clear-cut path of what is going to happen to the appointment. Because when I get to these steps, I don't want there to be any objections, because I already told you what's going to happen. When you go to the doctor says, okay, I'm going to stick this needle here because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, here we go. We're getting started. You say, okay, we're getting started. It's the same exact thing. So after that, then I say, okay, we're going to submit a request for coverage. Instead of saying application, I like to say submit a request for coverage. It's a little softer, but it's still saying the same thing. We're going to submit a request for coverage after you pick one that you're financially comfortable with and that fits your needs. If they like you, meaning they approve you with your medications and your age and all that, that's great. If they don't, that's okay. Because I work with a lot of companies. I work with 15 other companies. There's the shop around bit. Like, I'm shopping around. We're looking around for you. Then submit a request for coverage. They approve you. They will take the first payment. 2 to 4 days, I tell them, and I emphasize that they will take the first payment within 2 to 4 business days. And then I smile and I say, that's a good thing. That means they decided to give you the request that or the coverage that you're requesting. And then they kind of start to like nod too, and I'm leading them.
I'm like imagining sitting across from you, and it's like, and they're going to take the payment in 2 to 4 days. And you're kind of like, you tense up, and it's like, and you smile. That's a good thing. It's like, oh, my shoulders let down a little bit. It's like,
yeah.
Okay. And that's a good thing.
And that's a good thing. That means they decided to give you the coverage you're requesting. From there, they're going to send you the policy in 7 to 10 business days. And you can give me a call when you get it and let me know everything is good, or you want a little bit more coverage or a little bit less coverage. Does all that make sense?
Yes.
Would you like to proceed?
Yes. So like you also you trial closed a bunch of times. So it's like all those yeses, It's like you're going to get the sale at the end because they've agreed to the process. And I think that's so important. New people, they don't get them to agree to the process. Then when they get to the end, they haven't agreed to the process, and then they give them an objection. They don't understand why. It's because they didn't agree to the process in the beginning. So that's like the first part of the sale. I personally think it's the most important part of the sale, but I guess it's equally as important, but maybe just a little bit less, is painting the picture with the financial inventory and doing now your next trial close. Because the real close is, hey, go grab your driver's license and banking info and let's go get started. That's the close. But now I have this financial inventory in front of me. I've asked them their income, their health, conditions, medications, current or past insurances, the whole deal. And now it's like I have a picture of their financial life. And now my job is to basically explain back to them what I've discovered. So it's like I'm the doctor and I'm writing out all the symptoms on the piece of paper. And then based on the symptoms, here is my prognosis. Here is, as a doctor. Yeah. It's like, now I'm going to diagnose your problem and I'm going to prescribe the solution. So based on what, go ahead.
But really, I want them to diagnose their problem and tell me what their problem is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Inception. It's like, I'm asking good questions because I know that they're going to tell me these answers that they haven't really thought about it out loud or said it to each other, and they're thinking it, but they never said it, and they say it out loud, and it's scary. Like you and your spouse, I'm definitely sure that you guys have talked about this, but if I was in a house with you, Jamie, and what's your wife's name?
Katie.
Okay, Jamie and Katie, is it safe to assume that you're looking for a little bit more coverage on Jamie? Because Katie, what does it look like for you, the next 6 months to a year if Jamie died yesterday?
Well, we're screwed.
Okay, all right. I understand. So it's safe to assume we're looking for more coverage on Jamie, and if there's anything left in the budget, then we can look for you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah. It's like, hey, what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing that, Jamie, he makes $7,000 a month, and, Katie, you're a stay-at-home mom, but you've got your, little side network marketing business. You make, $1,000 a month. So when you got a mortgage, it's $2,000 a month. So what I'm kind of seeing is that if God forbid, something happened to Jamie, you guys wouldn't be able to make the mortgage payment, right? Yes. And so you guys see why something like this to replace Jamie's income for a couple of years would be really valuable, right? Yes. And it's just like they told you, it's like you're not pitching them on a specific product in the financial inventory. You're
No.
showing them the problem and you're pitching them a concept. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
here's the problem, and I'm going to show you a solution that solves that problem. You guys see why that would be valuable, right? Yes. Now we can start transitioning into actually showing them companies, products, prices, the whole deal, because they're bought into the concept that's going to solve their problem.
Correct.
Awesome. Well, this has been good. This has been really good. So we got a lot of questions here in the chat. Let's just go dig through them here real quick. So let's see. Okay, here's a good one from Carlos. What are some goals that a new agent should be setting? Or what's a good timeline for someone who's brand new?
So goals with regards to money, with regards to recruiting, what?
Let's dig into, we'll do both. So let's say goals for,
Okay.
at what point should they be helping 10 families a week?
Well, it depends if you're part-time or full-time. So that's a good question that I would have for the agent. Are you part-time or full-time? Because what I like to do with my people is sit down with them, not literally, but on the phone. Okay, like tell me your schedule. Like what's going on in your life? Like what are you actually trying to accomplish? Because all the answers are relative. Oh, full-time. So if you are full-time, I would say, how much money do you have to spend on leads? And if it's not 1,000 to 1,200, then I think you should go get a part-time job and make that, and then come back with that money so you can actually be full-time, because without leads, we're not full-time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's the first thing, that a lot of people come into this business and they're not ready for the business, and that's okay. This is a real business and you need to have capital, which is not that much money to start a business. $1,000, that's ridiculous in comparison to restaurants, $200,000 starting cost or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that, like, how much money do you actually want to make per week? And then go through and say, okay, whatever your issue pay goal is, you need to be spending 20% on leads. Also know that you're going to get 30% of your business will fall off the books. There are ways to mitigate chargebacks, of course. Thank you cards, being personable, doing a good job in the home and actually prescribing the correct product within the clientele's budget, of course. But 30% of your business is going to fall off the books. So I usually just pick a number with my agents and say, let's reverse engineer this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to get 70 to 75% of that up front. So just know those numbers, 70 to 75% of your business up front, rest of it in months 10, 11, and 12. Know that you're going to have to spend 20% of your goal for issue paid numbers on leads, and know that you're going to get 30% chargebacks.
And those numbers get better because it's like,
They do.
Over time, like I had way more policies fall off in the beginning than I do right now. And it's like, now it's like my persistency is like 94% or something like that. But it was not that in the beginning, number one. And then number two, you start to increase your return on investment on lead spend. We say, I've seen agents, obviously there's no guarantees in this business. So I want to make sure that's super clear here. But my personal goal, and Cassandra's goal, is always to basically 20% on lead spend is to 5x the money you put in. That's our goal. Okay. It's no guarantee. Doesn't happen for everybody because it's based on skill set and work ethic. But my goal now is to 10x what I put in. And that's what I've seen personally when I've, gone and continued on with that skill set and doing it over and over again. I've personally sat on 1,500 appointments. You're probably right around the same. And it's like, in doing that, you imagine your booking ratios get better, your no-shows go down, the amount of premium and families helped goes up on a smaller batch of leads, because in the beginning we say, you make up in numbers what you lack in skill. Well, when you go and you write Hall of Fame numbers and you sit with 1,500 families, it gets to a point where you can make up in skill what you lack in numbers. So like, there's been a couple of times where I've had a bad dial day recently, but I've still gone out and helped 10 families because you built up the skill set, which is it's a powerful, powerful skill set. So that's awesome. Here's another one. So what did your first couple months look like when you were new? What kind of challenges did you face when you're trying to gain traction? If you could talk about some of the bad things that happened to you, it might be helpful to help new agents learn the lesson and overcome that learning curve quicker.
Sure. So when I first started, my first month, I think I issue paid like 5,000. then my second month, I issue paid 25,000. And what I did find my second month is that I honestly wrote a lot of AIG. That was tough. Um, and I didn't get paid that much.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that product is tough. So just knowing how you get paid across the board, compensation wise, like actually look at the comp grid, understanding how you're getting paid, and then understanding that your time is valuable. Because I didn't think that my time was valuable when I first started this business, and I wasted a lot of time in a lot of different homes and with people that did clients that didn't really deserve my time. And be like there for 3 hours, and they'd be like, "You're so nice, like, we wanna think about it." So, I mean, I think the emotional roller coaster, like, it owning your business can be an emotional roller coaster, and I think I struggled with that just as much as you guys probably do, but having that consistency, and honestly, I've had a big shift just recently, actually. There it was a lot of pressure to hit Hall of Fame, right? I was trying so hard to hit Hall of Fame, and kind of after the first month, I was hitting a slump and I wasn't helping anybody. And I got on the phone with someone in my cross line, and they were like, "You're thinking too much about Hall of Fame. Just like go out there and help families like you're used to." And that's really the secret, guys, is that when you go into a house, you release whatever the heck is going on in your mind, completely release it. And you just go into the house and you just set the attention that I'm just going to be the best problem solver, unemotional, and the most helpful person I can be to these people. And if they don't deserve for you to be there, then you should know within the first 2 minutes and cut your losses and leave.
100%. But somebody who has 2 appointments for the day versus someone who has 7 or 8 appointments for the day is going to stay in that home for 3 hours because they're desperate. So I've been there, and
Numbers.
I've also, as of, the last probably year, before I go into every home, whether I'm having a good day or a bad day, for me, I just say, hey, God's will, not mine. If you want me to help this family, I'll help this family. If they really need life insurance, you're going to give me the words to help them understand the value of this insurance. But if they don't need it, your will, not mine. And regardless of the result, like, give me peace. Like, I'm going to be fine.
I did everything that I was supposed to do in that appointment. Like I pushed when I was supposed to push. I did what I was supposed to do. And then it all comes back. It all circles back to, are you doing what you really know that you should be doing deep down?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Question from Kaja out of South Carolina. What was your agency building strategy in the beginning, and how has that
I,
strategy evolved?
well, I didn't build in the beginning at all. I was just straight up producing, no building. I actually just started building within the last like 5 months.
Okay.
And how it changed is when I first started recruiting, I didn't understand what I had.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't understand that what I was doing was rare. Like, do you all understand how rare it is that you can, like in the insurance industry, not at Family First Life, but in the insurance industry as a whole, it's rare to produce a month. Like a lot of people aren't doing that. And just realizing what an amazing opportunity you have to give to people, and that you should not work with everybody. I just wanted so badly to teach people what I was doing, and I was so excited that I just brought people on that didn't deserve to work with us, didn't deserve to work with Family First Life. And I think that that is a big thing that you all should be doing, is you should be telling people straight up, this is hard. Who are you? Like, why should I bring you into my business? Why should I teach you the things that I am going to teach you? Why should I spend my time with you? Like at the end of the day, like we can go out and, help 30 families in a month. And that's a valuable skill. So just understanding that when you're recruiting, to recruit people that you like, that you want to work with, that the sound of their voice doesn't hurt your ears because you're going to be talking to them a lot. Recruit good people, like that you know that they're good inside and that you want to help succeed, that are smart and that are hungry and that are talented. And talented is just hard work for me. So you do something enough, you're going to be talented about it.
That's awesome. Okay. Every top producer overcomes objections differently. We need to think about it in the different ways, it comes packaged from clients. How do you personally overcome that?
Well, I feel the best way to overcome that is when I do the presentation, I'm like, okay, this product does X, Y, and Z, and I explain the benefits, and you always explain the benefits, because confused clients don't buy anything, you guys. You don't just show numbers. So I explain the benefits and I hand them the piece of paper and I give them the pen. And then I say, okay, you put your initials with whichever one you're the most financially comfortable with, and let me know if you have questions. And I hop back on my iPad and I look like I'm doing something very important, usually checking emails or responding to my agents. And I don't say anything at all. I literally shut up. Because if you're like talking too much, then they'll be like, no, we want to think about it. But even if they do say, I'm like, okay, put your initials, and I just shut up. And then usually they put their initials. But if they say, well, we think we want to do this one, do we have to make a decision today? I'm like, well, most of my clients pick one that's financially comfortable for them. And like I said, you have a whole month free look period to decide if you want to up or down the coverage or make any necessary changes to the policy. And then I just shut up again. I answer the question and I go back to doing what I was doing like it's no big deal. It's just a part of the process.
100%. I mean, clients, like, a lot of the times if you are talking, it makes them actually more comfortable to respond. But if you just shut up, it makes them super, super, super uncomfortable. And then they're like, okay, I either have to now come back at her again with another objection, or I need to just say yes to make this uncomfortableness stop and get the policy. So that's good. So just to kind of close this out, because it's been really good. I'm getting a lot of text messages that people are just finding a lot of value from this. There's somebody on here who they're on the road to Hall of Fame. They don't want to just, make it, halfway down the road. They want to make it all the way to the destination. I mean, it's just what's your final piece of advice for them on what they can do and how they can stay consistent this year? What do they need to do? What do they need to think? Who do they need to become to be on the road to Hall of Fame and make it all the way to the end?
That is a really great question. It's a really, really great question. Well, just know that a bad day doesn't equal whole horrible business. Just know that, and know that you'll have great days and you'll have really horrible days, and you might laugh and you might cry. But knowing that, it's all going to be okay and you're going to get there, just as long as you are writing your goals down and you have a plan. Because having the will to do something is awesome, and being excited is awesome, and loving all that, loving the business, everything, but that's not going to get you anywhere if you don't strategically plan your goals. You don't know your numbers. And if you aren't reaching out for help and you're not where you want to be, I'm sorry, you're just not going to get there by yourself. I didn't. Jamie didn't. And literally your upline, if they're a good upline, they want to help you. Like, I don't know how many times I have to beat into my agent's head. Call me. I want to talk to you. I'm busy, but I want to talk to you. So just call your people and talk to everyone and make sure that you're keeping your promises to yourself.